Hello, welcome to Studio Talks. My name's James Swift.
I'm Josh Martin, and our guest today is...
It must be Ged Jaras.
Hey, Jed, you okay?
But, you know, I've got a bit of a bad back, to be quite honest. I don't know what it is. I think I've got fat ankles. But then I've had that since 1987, so...
That's specific, yeah.
Yeah. Apart from that, you know, I'm laughing.
Oh, good. How are you doing in the lockdown, and what advice would you give to anyone?
So, well, like I say, my method of dealing with the lockdown is to always have a stocked up fridge, keep the cats happy, look after yourself, look after your mental health, take care of all the small things, recognise all the small things in life. So I've been doing a lot of reading. And at times I've just been actually doing, especially with this weather, just sort of lying out the back in the garden and just listening to me tunes, as I believe you young folks say might happen.
Do call it that, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, just
whack the tune on there, fella.
And you know, just sort of the good thing actually about the lockdown is, I will say this, is that I've connected more with people. You know, I'm like, you know, doing this. I speak to my mum, say, via FaceTime and things 3 times a day, because my mum's 80. She's been in lockdown, literally never left the house for 10 weeks. She's just last week came out for the first time. So we have these socially distanced tea parties in the garden now. We sit like 6 feet apart. We get the Battenberg out and the Earl Grey, and we have a very fine time. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So so it's everything's okay. Yeah, you know, just and like I said to you, I think I'll say it with a sense of deja vu, but I always say, make the best advice I can give about lockdown is make sure you're alive at the end of it.
Yeah.
You know.
What's your history with the studio, Jed?
My history, it's actually quite a long history. From before it was the studio, it's going back to, I can remember 30 years, it must be. We used to, my mate Paul started a little theatre thing called Minimum Wage Theatre, and he's kept it going. It's still going to this day. In fact, it was due last month to be doing a thing for your drama festival that, you know, sadly was postponed. But when we started it, we just did it because we were both fans of Harold Pinter, and we'd done drama at O-level and A-level at college. And so we just started putting plays on and stuff, and often we would go to use the studio, and that's apart from going to watch. This is when the main Queen's Hall was there as well, but we would also go when it was turned into a venue, 20 odd, best part of 30 years ago. I remember distinctly going to watch Half Man Half Biscuit there and just shouted, "Do Bob Todd, do Bob Todd." Now, if you're not a fan of Half Man Half Biscuit, me shouting "Do Bob Todd" won't make any sense. But if you are, you'll know that it's one of their finer tracks. That the actual track is called 99% of Gargoyles Look Like Bob Todd, one of the all-time great songs. So it's just things like, it's a mixture of, like lots of people do these days, of using it for, you know, plays and stuff, and then actually going to watch, you know, bands and stuff like that. Yeah.
So how did you get involved with comedy?
In some ways, I feel like I've been involved with comedy since I was about 7, but never knowingly, if you know what I mean. It's basically, you know, this thing called this. Maybe you won't be, but when you get to a certain age, you'll realise that most things in life are sad, bitter, tragic farces, especially the serious stuff. That's a bit of a joke, by the way, but there's an element of truth in it. But in the latterly, I was never particularly afraid of going on stage. I was, as long as, say, I had a guitar or I had lines to say, and a part to play, and that was always okay. I always said I had two primal fears. One was large hairy spiders, and the other one was doing stand-up comedy. Now, I still have a large irrational fear of spiders, but
I hate spiders.
they are just the
nasty.
worst. They are. But with comedy, what it was, and James, you'll remember this, because you co-facilitated it, and I remember getting to know you really well. It was you ran a great course called "You Can." You remember that?
I remember that.
You Can. Yeah. And it was great. And Louise, our guardian angel, that is Louise, she got the Liverpool Comedy Trust involved via his only mate, Sam Avery, who was a stand-up comedian and a brilliant one, but he would also go into the community all over Merseyside and Knowsley and Nurse-Run-Con, and he'd go into schools, prisons, community centres and deliver comedy courses. And she got him to come in and to say if anyone wanted to sign up to do it. And I first met Sam, and he just and I just thought, whatever you do, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do that. Do you remember that episode of Father Ted where they're on a plane and there's the big red button?
Yeah.
And it says, do not touch this red button. And then you see Father Dougal and it just closes up. That was it. So once I had these alarm bells saying, don't do it, I had to do it. So I went along and loved it. And it just came out of nowhere. And I did this. It was only about 5 or 6 sessions with Sam. Sam was fantastic. He's one of the all-time great tutors, mentors.
See, it's funny.
It's
funny that you should mention him, because it's when we asked Jane about how she got involved with comedy, she literally said the exact same thing. I think it was the same workshop with Sam.
Well, no, what it was, I think with Jane, I'll tell you what it was. We did a show anyway, like a graduation thing at the studio, and after it, and I tell you, Rich, our mate,
Rich, yeah.
He was one of the ones who did it. So anyway, we did it, and then Sam came to me afterwards, and he was very kind. He said, that was really, really good. He said, have you thought about, trying gong shows and stuff like that? And I was encouraged by that, so I did, and I carried on doing it. At the same time, with the help of Louise, we managed to get funding to do a comedy course at the studio, but it was quite a long one, and we got a few people, and I think that was the one that Jane got involved in, and that was quite a long one. That was like 3 months long, and then we had a big graduation show, and at the same time, because I was getting, it was great. And we packed the studio out, and a parallel to that, though, I was getting frustrated that I would get in touch with people to try and get a 10-minute spot and not even getting a reply. So I just said to Louise one day, I said, would it be possible for me to borrow the studio just for one night? And I said, I don't need anything, there's no music. All we need is a working microphone and a little stage. And she said, yeah. So we went through the diary, and it was April the 1st, which was the most apt date you could imagine. And that was 4 and a bit years ago. And we're still going strong. We do 11 shows a year. And it's wonderful. It really, really is. We've got sponsors now. We've had some brilliant, brilliant acts over the years. Unfortunately, obviously, we had to cancel after the spring because of the present day. But as soon as we were supposed to have our 4th anniversary show in April, we will have it. Yeah, and and we had one of the top comedians in the country booked for that one. So hopefully, even if it's for Christmas, we will definitely back when it's safe to do so. But that's how I got into it. Yeah, it was just like lots of things that can change your life or change your direction. It's a chance meeting that you don't see coming. Yeah.
How do you write your comedy?
I've not done too much comedy writing of late because I've been involved with other things, which really took up a lot of like study and stuff, which took up quite a lot of my time and brain power. But really, it just comes from, I could never really write a gag or a joke. So for me, it was always have to be character comedy. I was okay doing character comedy, and because I enjoy writing and I like trying to create stuff. So I like writing little scripts, and some of which have turned into a film or have been the basis for little comedy films. Or the last one was like a little comedy series, which was shot mainly in the studio. But yeah, it's rather than it being, you know, a man walks into the bar and he had a long face. Why? Because he was a horse. I don't know. See, I can't write gags. That's the level. And I walked into a.
I do like how it started laughing though in a way.
Yeah. So as you can see, that's not my forte, shall we say? But I like writing sketches or little scripts or having things that you can develop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've always been like interested in like comedy. I love stand-up comedy and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just it's so hard to write. I can make all my friends and family laugh just like that. But like when you come down to write yourself an actual joke, I feel like it's just quite hard to do.
It's like the tyranny of the blank page. It's like the page is daring you to write something, and that's difficult. But sometimes what's easier to do is to bounce off an idea. You know, so someone will just say something and you will come back with, you know, a very funny comeback or whatever. And sometimes it's easier to do that. And that's a good way of getting ideas, actually, for what other people have said. And then you can develop on that. So, you know, the best thing for if you're going to write anything is to use whatever people say. You know, as a bit, if there's no shame in taking other people's, you know, if someone says something, if that gives you an idea or a basis for a song, for a joke, for script, for something, that's fine. That you know, that's what inspiration is. It's taking what you hear and what you see and using that for your own purpose. Come on, lads. Next question. Hurry up.
Right. Okay.
How do you write your poetry?
How do I write my poetry?
Yeah.
Generally with the biro.
Walked into that one.
It's like the man who walked into a bar and he went, ouch, it was an iron bar. Hey! See, I told you I can't write jokes.
I think that's my favourite answer to it. It's because normally every episode we ask how they wrote a song or how they wrote. I think that's my favourite answer.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing when they say, what are your influences? And for me, generally, it was Jack Daniels. So, so you know, who knows? How do I write stuff? It's just stuff that comes into your head, or someone has said something like I was just saying earlier, to be semi-serious. It's like someone will say something and you just sort of riff on that, or you just, you know, it's, who knows where it comes from. I don't, to be quite honest, really think about it. If something comes out, I just write it, file it away, go on to the next thing.
So, in terms of film, because obviously you're also a filmmaker, what inspired you to make film?
I think really, I've always liked, I've always been a film buff. I've always, you know, I could bore the pants off people talking about film. And then it was just sort of having ideas of, I think I've always made silly films at home, and I'd make like home movies and stuff, but actual sort of making stuff and then maybe putting it on YouTube, it was just sort of messing around with your mates, you know, or we'd have the first proper thing I did was about 7 years ago, and it was called Runcorn Nosferatu. And it was me and my mate Neil Gallagher, who does loads of horror stuff, and he's quite well known in the local film community, and my mate Paul Kennedy and Ged Jaras. And we made this film about Nosferatu, who was appearing at the Brindley Theatre, and then he goes wandering the night round the canals of Runcorn, looking for love and next to feed on. And it was just this silly film, and we shot it in about 3 hours one night in Runcorn. And we went to the Brindley and said, can we just use your foyer for 2 minutes? And they said no. And we said, okay. And we did anyway. And just, so it's just that things like that. You have ideas or, funny little things. And as that developed, I've done a couple of I like editing a lot. So I like to do, I've done things which are finding old bits of film and putting soundtracks over them or doing a voice over them and stuff. So and just, so it's like making a comedy out of found footage. The last couple of things, the last thing, and you appeared in it, James, and you were rather good, was we did a 3-part, it turned into a 3-part comedy little series called W, about a terrible theatre company and an even worse witnessed poet. And a lot of that, as you know, was filmed in the studio. But that took a while to finish, because it's just one of them things, trying to get a dozen people together at once, so.
Definitely. I know that was an incredible, I watched most of that being filmed, and it was really fun to just, when we watched it on the screen later on, a couple of months later, it was nice to watch it all just kind of, oh, so that's what he meant when he said all this crazy, this crazy idea come up with, the play in the middle of a film. And that was a very weird day.
That's right, when we actually had an audience in.
Yeah.
I for that, weren't I? I think I was.
I think you may.
Yeah. Well, that was, and that's the thing. It took way too long because I was having some problems with the cast. It took way too long to shoot, and I wouldn't do that again now. Not the approach, because it was soul destroying how long it took to do. But since then, I've written scripts, and I've had there's at least one film that I want to do that is just going to be very, very small scale, like other things I've done. And when it's like I will do that sooner rather than later, hopefully. But also at the same time, the other things I've done is I've done comedy podcasts, but doing as characters. So I had this sort of ex-prog rock guy doing sort of music lessons, and he was called the Buzz Felcher Hour, and we did quite a number of them at the studio as well. So so it depends what it is. It's just having an idea, writing a script, and sometimes improvising. I like improvising. So, but you have to have the right people. Yeah.
Improvise this. I get the questions 10 minutes before we actually shoot the thing. No, I'm joking. But it is mostly improvising it. So
yeah. I think one of the things we've got from this is that we do need to. I don't think this is anything relevant to what I was going to say. I was going to say that there's one thing where in the middle of an episode we'll just make up questions because it bounces off what the person we've interviewed. So but I think in terms of improvising, I think it looks easy to do, but it's incredibly hard, if that makes sense. I think looking at it, it's it's just saying elephant or purple or it's really not.
I think it's easier. It's easier if you know the other person well. So say I did lots of stuff with my old mate Paul Kennedy. We didn't actually have a script for a lot of it. We just had an idea, and we said, yeah, okay, start off with that, and then I'll put the camera on and we'll just do it. And if we have to make any little edits, we do. And we were just, because we've known each other and we've acted together and we've written together a lot, we've written tons of stuff. So we could just riff completely, but just make stuff up. And then luckily, most of it was okay. The good thing, if you can get that, is it is very spontaneous, and you can't write spontaneity. You know what I mean?
So, do you want to talk about how people can find you online?
How they can find me online? Goodness me!
Like, sorry, the films that you make, the things that you make.
I thought that's what you meant. I thought.
Every time I ask, it sounds like a is it called 1 Hour Photo? The one with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Sounds like a 1 hour.
Vaguely creepy. Yeah.
How can this person be part of your family?
So, okay, I've actually got a few. I've not put any new material up, like I say, because the last couple of years I've been quite heavily involved in studies and volunteering with a group in Winnis, which that's really took my time up. So, other than doing the stand-up nights every month, I've written stuff, but I've not actually put any new stuff out. But you can find. So, I've got about 4 YouTube channels. I've got the Stand Up at the Studio stuff, which is basically just all like videos of all the stand-ups over the last 4 years. I have got my main channel. You can find it, most of my films, at it's if you look for Herbert Punisher.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Herbert Punisher. There's loads and loads of stuff. I've got another 2 channels you can find. One is called it's called Buzz Felcher, which was his own channel, and the other one, which I think it's called I don't know. You know what? I can't even remember what it's called, but there's some stuff on there, and that had the grand total of 2 subscribers. So that's some sort of record. That beats you coming 3rd in the talent contest.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
I like how that's not on recording, so no one knows what that's on about.
No, it's just but we know, don't we, James?
We do.
We certainly do. Yeah.
I thought we were like at the first because we like recorded like a few episodes didn't come out.
Yeah.
We were like, we just refer to the lost episode every now and again.
We've just got a bag of empty episodes of lost episodes.
Yeah. So there you go.
Thank you for joining us today. That was absolutely great.
You are more than welcome. Just before you go, can I just ask the 2 of you? You forgot to mention how much is the fee?
We're not. Oh, I don't know.
No, seriously.
No, but I've heard you tell this joke before.
What are you laughing for, James?
It always makes me panic.
No, seriously, come on, mate. I've given you 20 minutes of me best. I'm obviously a higher caliber guest than what you normally get on your show. I'm saying, no offence to anyone else, but so I need to know.
I'll buy you a pack of Freddos when we're back in the studio.
God's sake. You know what, James? I'm disappointed in you, mate. I'll leave it at that. I thought we had something. I thought we had something special going on. But a pack of Freddos, that's how much respect you've got for my talent.
I mean, I didn't get you the Freddos, to be fair, so...
Blame on James.
I'll tell you what, I'll settle for a picnic. How's that?
A picnic, go on.
Do you mean a chocolate bar, or like a...
actual picnic?
Or like a picnic?
Look, you can see what I look like. Of course I mean the bleeding chocolate bar. What else? Listen, guys, it's been absolutely cool. Give my love to all your families. Thank you for asking me on this. I hope you stay safe, stay sunny and warm. Look after yourself. Look after your mental health. Keep on keeping on. Okay.
Yeah,
that's.
When the studio's back open.
Oh, okay. All the best. Ta-ra.
All the best. See you later.